Okay. The broadcast is live. So
Okay,
are we on live?
perfect.
Yes.
So let's get another round at it. It's great to have you here, Yaman. We're very excited, and the topic that we're going to talk about today is also very exciting. And it has its challenges, but there's also like a lot has changed over the past years.
Yes,
And
yes.
I'm especially curious about your thoughts. But before we get into it, would you like to introduce yourself and let everyone know
Oh,
who you are?
okay, thank you, Yashar, for this, like, again, for this massive and great introduction. And I'm really happy to meet you again. I mean, we have been working together previously on several projects, and it's really a pleasure to have you with this session. Let me introduce myself, like, quickly. I'm Yaman. I'm Syrian, and I'm based in Istanbul, Turkey. I am the founder of YELLA company. YELLA company provide translation services and digital communication and consultancy services. So in these three pillars, we are trying to, in our mission to, enhance the integration platforms for refugees and for like all the youth here in Turkey to be more living in a more coherent and more, um, dialogue, open dialogue kind of situation among them. So in this case, I mean, this is what we are doing, and we are open always to have like a new project and provide new services.
This is great. Maybe we can start from here. So, when you started, how was the situation, and what have you been doing so far, and what are
Well,
the changes that you've seen?
well, that's a long story. If you have all day, all night, we can go with it. But long story short, I can tell you, like, I'm not an exception of any entrepreneur journey or any business founded like before. Uh, the only thing that probably I would have faced more was related to my status in in this country, like being considered under temporary protection. So and that was kind of like has its overcome steps, like you have to go an extra mile for everything to get what you need, but in it's manageable, it's doable, let's say. So long story short, this is what's happening. There are some extra steps that I had to manage as well.
So I'm also curious, like, so when it's come to also the topic of youth and who are like maybe refugees, but maybe they're born here, and since it's been a long time since this whole thing has started, and groups of people have been moving to Turkey. And we're at the second and third generation, and so I'm very curious about like how do you see these changes happening? Like, what's the situation right now with the like children that have been born here, with the ones that have been growing up here?
Okay, so here's the thing. Once we think about youth, we probably always think about like 18 years and under, but that's something to be considered as biologically understandable. But when we go into thinking more into the entrepreneurship field, I mean, like the youth of refugees, especially refugees or Syrians or those who had to be displaced from their homes, they have much more, a gap in their age. Age concept. So that gap of 10 years or 10 year of not being able to develop in a normal way, to say the least. So we can extend this age range. So we are not talking about youth as 18 years old or 20 or something. We can tell youth still going on till like people with my age, like 30s, in their 30s or mid 30s, because they had this kind of lost time that they have to recover. And to be honest, when I was building the business, like 3 years ago, I was just thinking about like developing a tool that make me access the market and make me able to go into the market and say like, I am here and I can provide a service or provide help. Uh, Little did I know that I should be thinking even like faster, like for 5 years to come, or like 10 years to come. And with this 3 years, what have been made for, let's say, people who are living, the service, like for example, a translation service was determined to facilitate a marketplace for people who need translation services or interpreters, and likewise, vice versa. But now we can see like there's a large number of youth and the new generation, to say the least. They already grow up and they know Turkish. I mean, of course, there is a lack in the Turkish market, the Turkish language proficiency, but they have like a really huge development in the sector, not in the sector, in the youth range, to say the least.
When you started explaining this, like the range of age that you consider as youth, considering the maybe underdevelopment that maybe a generation in the middle has had because of like their lack of accessibility, maybe to education or other like normal, I mean, whatever you call normal integration into the society. So, what are the things that you think has caused this? And like for this group, do you think are they more integrated right now, or like?
Okay, here that's a really good question. Thank you for bringing that up. And to say the least, I mean, we need to understand what is accessibility and what is integration, and are we doing what we are doing for youth. Like for example, for youth, like the new people or new generation who are going into university right now, who are getting degrees, who are getting kind of this more in-depth interaction with the community, with the Turkish community now, they have this kind of integration perspective, but they still lack the full practice of the normal integrated Turkish citizen. So, and that's once we can say, like for example, the citizenship, giving it to the youth who are finishing university or who are getting into university, is it considered as an integration process or into a step toward integration, or is it kind of like a step to ease the accessibility to the market and to life in general for them? And that's a really big concept to look around more in depth and to understand that this is there are a lot in as a complex Lego castle is happening here, and you have to understand that it's not a wording or a label that you can tell. It's a complex of pieces and steps that will probably develop like furthermore a more coherent, integrated, accessible life environment.
Talking about this, when you think about it, like the role of environment in enabling this, like I mean, the legal part of the like how getting the citizenship, that's maybe more of a, how do you say, like a more governmental process. There's also the societal part of this topic that we can look at. In this term, like especially when we think about entrepreneurship for the youth, do you think like they can do it right now? Like, do they have access to what they need? Or if like even if we divide this like into subsegments or subgroups of different kind of youth or generations of youth, refugee youth or like immigrant youth that are here in Turkey right now, do you think they have accessibility to like the resources that they need, or can they start a business in Turkey, and like do they have what they need?
Okay, that's a really good thing, but let me give you like a heads up on entrepreneurship. Like I know, not to you, like to our guests, to the listeners, mashallah, I know you are a great trainer in this field. But to be honest, like entrepreneurship is not for everyone, and having the accessibility to it is not the thing that we can tell like, okay, he has accessibility to get trainings for entrepreneurship, but does he have the idea that will make him business or a startup, or it will transfer his life into a better steps forward. And we consider accessibility to entrepreneurship in Turkey. If we consider this right now, I mean, everyone is accessible to entrepreneurship training wherever they are. I mean, and here in Turkey, I mean, I would not make it very easy to say, but we have difficulties. Like sometimes we face, like as youth who are trying to go into entrepreneurship, if they are a refugee or if they are under temporary protection, and we need to differentiate the terms between temporary protection and a refugee, because here in Turkey it has a very different concept and understanding. But if when they go and get an entrepreneurship program, or those like all international agency facilitate programs to have entrepreneurship training and facilitate like a way or a path for people to go into business and the market. I mean, did you first have the assessment, or did you first have the right questioning or the right answers from the people? So what did you ask them? Did you know if they want to be entrepreneurs? I mean, did you ask them if they have any kind of other approach to what they want to do for their future? I mean, in a simple way, I did kind of like an open question and a shout out to all of my friends and contact in my networks. And I told them, like, what do you think is the problems that you have? And this is like the main topic of our session. I'm sorry. Are we alive still? I think Yashar had a technical issue. Nevertheless,
Okay. Somehow I got into backstage now.
no worries, no worries. So Yashar, I was telling, like, I wanted to continue on this, like, in a simple way, like when you say, like, we are providing entrepreneurship skills or entrepreneurship trainings, go ask the people, like, go do a vast, major, big, let's say, reach out and shout out on multiple platforms and see the people what they are saying. Because the answer I got, I was like, it wasn't really into the whether they can have a way to build their business or not. It was like, for example, one of the big problems that they feel was psychological thing, and it was like a conceptual thing. Like, don't call us refugees. I mean, stop calling us refugees and start treating us as human. I mean, this is like the thing. It's not a hostile thing to state that there is a group of refugees, but when you continuously attach this status of a person as a refugee, it becomes very heavy on their communication, on their stepping in life, and even in their surrounding community.
I completely agree. Like, I mean, I haven't been through that, like, in that way. But even as an like immigrant, someone who's like a foreigner in another country, like that barrier of like being stated that you're a foreigner can have an effect on your interactions with other people, and like being
heavily
taking, like, giving you the courage, like preventing you from having the courage, like, to go forward and go, okay, I'm here, like, because you're worried about, like, how they may think and stuff. But this is actually very good way of bringing it up. So do you think, I'm curious about your opinion and like what you've seen and your insight into this. Do you think this transition, like this tagging, like is it still very strong, or is it getting better, or like and how's like the trend? Like, what's the trend in the back? Like, for example, are there youth that's coming out and going like, okay, like I'm not worried about the tagging anymore, or like the psychological part of it that you mentioned? Is there any change in the atmosphere and in the community?
Okay, this is good bringing because I want to highlight this. There is something called in psychology, it's like activated, let's say, adversity activated trauma, or sorry, adversity activated development. I'm sorry. Okay, so this, like what we have, or refugees, or the people who are living under temporary protection, the collectively they started to feel more, let's say, resilient about, like, okay, this is, if this what the community is saying about me, I'm gonna prove to this community that I am different and I am not like that. And using a multi-level, let's say, approaches over like multiple platforms and multiple means, whether it's visual or it's like a hearing podcast, or even like a drawing or art or whatever the means is, telling everyone that we are different and we are just like human. We have these skills, we have this a whole kind of talents that we need to bring into the society. I mean, we don't want to bring it and isolate ourselves, because this is not the normal human living thingy. So the thing is, like, approaching people to have more, let's say, to have more human approach, to see, is better than just forcing and pushing and encouraging or discouraging doing anything in return. Go talk to people, go talk, like, sit with the person. If you don't like his ideas, if you don't like what he is saying, I mean, don't take it as general. I mean, the biggest mistake that you can do is to say a general concept, to take, or to generalize, let's say, a concept over a group of people, just because you didn't like one person or two people minds or opinions. So my opinion would be always like, talk to the people, talk and talk and talk. Over time you develop, over time you change, even they understand different stuff. But in the general aspect, we need to keep the bridge up and talk.
So you're mentioning two main things. Both of them are talking, but like your message goes to two groups right now.
Exactly.
From the people inside the community, for them to ignore the thought of like how is it being called or what's like people may think or think, and go forward and talk to people, trying to like push forward. And on the
Yeah,
other
express.
to their audience, like local people who are interacting with them, to be open and also talk, to see what are the opportunities that can be captured together. Can you hear me? I think your voice went away. Yaman, I think there is a problem with your microphone or voice. Your microphone looks closed right now. You're muted.
Again, now
No,
you
I
hear
can hear you. Perfect.
technical stuff. I mean, keep your mind always open, that there are technical stuff in such online workshops. So the thing is, I was going to say, like, you asked me about, like, this message is really wide. I mean, you will be surprised when you come to an environment and you initiate the dialogue and see what people can do. I will give you like a very simple examples from my surrounding and my networks. I can see people who are, let's say, under temporary protection, are in partnering with other entrepreneurs, other like-minded Turkish citizens or any other citizens, and building a magnificent solutions for like the finance department and the financial fintech kind of field. For example, the other one is happening with like breaking down a situation for social media and art. field. You just need to have this approach and be open-minded. It's not an easy thing, really. It's not, but it's demanded in our days right now. And what helps is like this new generation is being more, aware about the customs, about the norms of the community, about like what's happening, the ups and downs in the life, the economical, socio-economic life approaches here in Turkey. So just go with it, talk. It's easier than before, easier than 5 years ago when I came first,
Definitely. Yeah, and I would really like to get your opinion on this as well. So we have a group that is coming out, that they're trying new things, they're like talking to people as well, or we have people that want to start to talk
Mhm.
and see what they can do. For the youth that are trying to do this, for the people who are trying to break these barriers or these like imaginary walls, what do you think could be like the best opportunities or chances or tools, or maybe things to do basically, that could help them basically push this forward or really explore their potential and their chances and opportunities?
Okay. You see, this is a multi-level or multi-layered
Always.
question. You are always smart with your question. Thank you. And in this case, I would really advise like on what platforms are we talking about, for example, in this communication or in this approach. You know, as a digital, a digital community or a digital atmosphere, we will have like multiple ways to do the interaction with one another. In the Twitter, let's say we normally had the texting approaches. Now we have the texting and Twitter Space, which we can now open a dialogue and communicate and talk. That's something, and like a new approach to transfer our words text to an audio approach. Another way, for example, I will tell you like which has been effective and proved. Back in the last 20 days, we have seen like the big rise of the awareness about what's happening in Palestine and what is the truth over there in the ground. And we have seen like a lot of people communicate with each other. I'm not gonna talk in any critique about anything happening on platforms or anything happening with the concept of whether there is like a good approach or a good reach or not, because this is the policies happening with the platforms which are not justifiable, but still we saw that in any mean, if you are willing to reach and tell and talk to someone else, to this huge community, open community, you can do it, whether by visual, carousel, let's say carousel post on Instagram. That was the most attractive thing. People start scrolling, reading information, comprehending stuff, what's happening. Live broadcast, live sessions, go live and talk with people. I mean, your only limitation is your barrier in your mind. So when you see that you want to do a comment, like even a comment or a like on a picture or on a post, is considered an interaction, and it's a valid one, because it breaks over time this coldness of like, yeah, I have you a friend, like as a Turkish friend, let's say, or I have you as a peer business network, but we never communicate in anything. But when we share our information, share our updates, and we interact with each other, even with the like button, I mean, we keep remembering, and your name comes up, and I can see you. You, for example, Yashar liked it, so maybe Yashar is interested about this topic, so I can talk to him more about this. University levels have the biggest capability, let's say, to to have this approach, not because they are internet savvies of their young ages, but because they have more in common, especially over the topic, the let's say what they call it, the subject of their majors. Let's say they can have like long conversation about what they are studying, but in one more or another they will have comparisons about what they have been studying back there in their countries. So it's a more open conversation, a more open and accessible, let's say, way for them to start and communicate. I know I talk a lot, but I hope that there is a group of people who are watching us and giving us good feedback on this and asking in the comment section.
This is great. One last, we're at the end of the time, so I would like to ask you one last question.
Yes, please.
If you like, let's say I have an idea. I might be in any country in Middle East, or but I'm a foreigner and I'm young.
Okay.
What are the first three things that I could do to see if my idea is worth pursuing or not?
Okay, as an entrepreneur, if you want to go for that way, start reaching out to your university, or like if you are not in the university approach, start reaching out to your communities, see who are the providers, whether they are NGOs doing programs that develop some kind of lead to tell you more about where to go and what to do. I mean, there is a big role, by the way, for those programs and projects that are happening in Turkey. I mean, we should not be minimizing any kind of role or a figure in this community. So, easy way, go digital. Go digital and ask your people. There are now a lot of groups, for example, for Syrians, I'm gonna say, they have these groups for each, let's say, area or each provinces in Turkey. So they can ask. There are now very known public figures, let's say, or influencers who are living in Turkey, sharing news and telling people what is the update about what's happening in Turkey. In Kayseri, I know a lot of people. My friend Musab is doing fantastic. In Istanbul, there is a group called Digital Istanbul. Go reach out to them. They are like a magnificent group of companies or group of people who can support you on multiple levels. I mean, yes, of course, there is a different way to communicate in each level on each way, but still, it's a text message. I mean, just go knock the door and see what's gonna happen. And I'm gonna tell you, people in general will be, you know, flooding with their information and knowledge once you request gently and ask, because they need to help. We all, as a human being, love and want to help. So that's it.
Thank you, Yaman. This was amazing. Thank you for coming and joining and sharing your thoughts and experiences as well. I hope you have a very great week ahead.
Thank you,
And
Yashar.
I hope
Thank you.
that what you shared also becomes useful and some people take the initiative, go out and start talking.
Absolutely, absolutely. And please, like for anyone who is watching us, like never estimate the role of the role of LinkedIn platform. Go in LinkedIn and reach out people, because there they understand that we can talk professionally about businesses and we can have this approach. Don't underestimate even the role of what do you call it? Now Facebook is really kind of like it varies now in age to of the people who use it, but go there and search those groups, because we still till now need to find each other in any way or any method. So thank you also like for Techstar for the startup week and having me here, because this is like a good opportunity, and I'm glad you have considered delivering the voice of people or of refugees or of people who are under temporary protection to this stage. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yashar, then.